Surrounding Palermo are many extraordinary 18th century villas, which were once summer retreats for the Palermitano aristocratic families, noble families. None is probably more famous than the lovely Villa Boscogrande, the villa of the Great Forest, which became world famous when Luchino Visconti chose it as the setting for his film Il Gattopardo, The Leopard, which was shot here in 1962, 1963, starring Burt Lancaster, Claudio Cardinale, and Alain Delon. And the villa will become the setting, the backdrop for The Gattopardo, The Leopard, this film based on the novel by Giuseppe Tomasi di Lampedusa, published in 1958, a year after his death. He was an author. He described himself as a reclusive child who liked to be alone with his books. He was an author and a nobleman of a noble family. And the novel Il Gattopardo seems to have been based on the life of his great-grandfather, Giulio Fabrizio Tommaso di Lampedusa, nobleman and astronomer as well. And today we are going to have a little look at the interior of this beautiful 18th century villa near Cardillo, the Borgata, or the small frazione, or little fraction outside of Palermo where Pino grew up. A beautiful, calm day in December. The Villa Boscogrande here outside of Palermo is privately owned now, and it is much desired as a setting, of course, for weddings. Beautiful grounds, palm trees, magnificent garden all around. As we walk in and take this road, you can hear a bit of the traffic outside, zipping past Cardillo. We can see here elegant peacocks welcoming guests. And now let us head towards the elegant Villa Boscogrande. Here at the entryway into the Villa Boscogrande, constructed by the Duca di Montalbo at the end of the 18th century. It is privately owned now, but the last of the noble men owning this villa did not have sons to whom the name could be passed on. And so that is the end of one of the dynasties of Palermo. Now we're going upstairs. The first floor of the villa, and this would have been the stairway of entry, la scala d'ingresso, and one would have entered the villa right here. And this room behind me, now I'm going to turn around, would have been the first room that guests to the villa entered, beautifully frescoed, the floors of enameled clay. And we want to have a look again at the frescoes on the ceiling. And then off of this entry room leads rooms, various rooms into this elegant villa. Entering into the other room, and it is now used for buffets when there are events here. And we have Pino here with one of the young men working here. And at the time that this was a noble villa, this would have been a salone, a living room, a greeting room for guests. And here two beautiful frescoes adorning the walls with scenes around the hills of Palermo. And a lot of the frescoes, of course, have taken damage with time. although the villa is still an exquisite gem to visit. It's to the ballroom here, and here is the director, and we thank him for letting us come in. At the entrance to the ballroom here, we're seeing the coat of arms of the Duca di Montalbo that had this villa Boscogrande constructed. And architecturally, it is a transformation of the Baroque into the neoclassical. Villa Boscogrande. Pino's very interested, and he is asking the director various questions. And we had entered into this buffet room, and where this young man is now cleaning, and the Christmas tree, where we had been before, and we'd seen the frescoed ceiling, was the ballroom. This was the ballroom. I asked about the bedrooms of the nobility, and the doors are off all of these saloni, or welcoming rooms, shall we say, and they're not visitable now, and they're only used for preparing for the receptions that they offer here. And so now this is an area for receptions, events, weddings, special meetings, and we can see here the beautiful frescoes of the ceiling. This here, out these windows will look onto the garden. And this is yet another room for receptions now, all adorned with 18th century frescoes. And you may want to see again the film if you haven't already, Il Gattopardo, with Burt Lancaster, Claudio Cardinale, and see if any scene, in any of the scenes of that great film, you recognize any of these exquisite rooms of Villa Boscogrande. It's in this salone, one of the reception rooms, because the crew had just finished cleaning up this morning after an event which was held here last night. Again, we're noticing the beautifully frescoed ceilings. We have here in this room a marble fireplace, frescoed above it, and looking out through these curtains are the back gardens of the Villa Boscogrande. Just to the right of the fireplace in this room of receptions, I am looking out at the terrace here. There's a vast terrace. And just imagining the events which must have taken place here in summer evenings long, long ago. How lucky were we to be able to come out on the vast terrace of the Villa Boscogrande, noble villa of the late 18th century. This vast terrace. There's Pino having a look. The wonders that Palermo hides. And as we leave, I'm looking through the vast saloni, the welcoming rooms, the rooms of reception. And again, imagining that great film, Il Gattopardo, filmed here 1962, 1963. Claudio Cardinale, Burt Lancaster, Alain Delon, as Luchino Visconti, great Italian film director, brings to life Il Gattopardo, the leopard, written by a nobleman who was also an author, Giuseppe di Tomasi di Lampedusa. That novel very much inspired by the life of his great-grandfather, the prince. So lucky were we to have the opportunity today to visit Villa Boscogrande.